Alright, hello everyone. Today I'm going to be watching Warfront Turning Point review by MandaloreGaming. It was always... These are recommended in the comment section, and if you want something to be watched, just recommend it in this comment section. I check it out, basically, when I can. So, I didn't know I had a allergic reaction. And last night I ate 2 grapefruits. Nothing happened for the first few hours, but then slowly my mouth started burning and burning and burning to the point that it was just unbearable. But yeah, apparently I have allergic reactions to grapefruit. I didn't have before. I don't know how the fuck is it happening now. I don't know if it's developed. Can you do this? I don't know. But yeah, last night I was basically not in a hospital, in like a what do you call it? We basically went to Red Cross and just asked immediately because I didn't know what the fuck was going on to me. So yeah, let's go in the count of 3, 2, 1, go. Holy crap. Yeah, this is like Empire Earth. Using text and shit. Okay, those are very weird tech. Why are you walking like that?
I love it.
Yo, that's Bad Company! That's Bad Company! That's Battlefield 2 Bad Company 2
Alternate
OST.
history has always been an interesting and fun genre for me. Sometimes they're plausible, highly researched scenarios, and sometimes they're completely batshit. There's always been room for both across all media. Then you have time and space mischief, like Pax Romana. You know, where the Vatican sends back time-traveling mercenaries to form an eternal Roman Empire.
What
at least
the
until
fuck?
you see the stories start to fall apart and then completely give up. Regardless, the lion's share of these mainly goes to World War II. It's a good, high-stakes diverging point that you can play around with a lot. Hell, in games,
That's
arguably
cool.
the establishing title for FPS had you fighting Mecha Hitler. They've been here since the beginning, and boy can they get weird. The thing is, you usually... They've been here since the beginning, and boy can they get weird. The thing is, you...
This is the best game ever made. This is the best game. Is this Generals? No, wait a second. Bro, this is the actual best game ever made. This is Empire Earth, bro. Or is it? Wait a second. It is. It's Empire Earth. I remember this. This is this. I remember this. Wait, where is my mouse? Why can't I see the mouse? Give me a second. Alright. Alright. I absolutely remember this. This is for finding out, this is for finding out who's first in the leaderboard. This is for finding the relations between allies and enemies. Oh my fucking god. This is the best. This shows, this shows you where are the, slacking off workers. This is the best.
usually have some kind of expectation going in. You might have gotten to watch The Man in the High Castle expecting something like Fatherland, and instead it goes into Pax Romana territory,
What
and
the
no one even
fuck?
gets hit with a funny pink beam. As for Warfront Turning Point, this is an absolute enigma, and it has parallels to another video I've made. This is part of what I call my Best Buy collection, which is an electronics retailer chain over here which will likely die in the next 20 minutes. Anyways, growing up I had no gaming magazines, my
What
family stuck
is
with
this?
dial-up for far too long, so my game buying habit became word of mouth from my friends, and what cover looks really cool in the store.
That's same. When I had a PS1, I would choose the best looking cover, and it would look like shit anyways. But at the same time, when they would give us games that were 20 gigabytes, back then we couldn't download them. So me and bunch of friends would go and basically download each 2 parts. And then we all collectively put them together, and then each had basically the full game. That was so fucking annoying.
They'd have a really nice box.
Well, that's the best we
Ghostmaster
could
was
do.
one of those, and was a great pick. And you know what else had wonderful packaging? Genesis Rising. I guess
Yo.
I should have shown this in its own video, but I still have it. It folds out into a nice faction overview, positive review snippets,
It's not
all of
completely
this, and for only
different military
$10.
systems too.
Warfront had a big Nazi mech on the front, and a large spread showing multiple bizarre sci-fi weapons. We were impressed, said PC Gamer, but was I? Well, just like Genesis Rising, I had no memory of actually finishing this game.
Oh, no,
There's barely any
Katyusha.
information about it online, and it's currently not sold anywhere.
Okay, those explosions were
Actually
ass. What the fuck is that explosion, man?
This game. There's barely any information about it online, and it's currently not sold anywhere.
Company of Heroes
And
2
that
had
makes
better.
it perfect
And
to
one.
talk about. So let's see where history diverges and look at the opening cutscene. Diverges and look at the opening cutscene.
Mokba 60 kilometers. What the fuck are you going to Mokba for? Probably find oil.
Which is a
Oh,
bunch
no.
of the game's cutscenes without context. Though it is good
Fuck is that?
Which is a bunch of the game's cutscenes
What is that? Well, that looks like a microphone. Like
without context. Though it is good production value, especially for an RTS from then. But moving to the main menu, there are no answers there either. It is notable that this game is version 1.0. It never got a hotfix, a balance patch, nothing. That is extremely unusual for a strategy game, especially one from that time. Anyway, from here we can pick out a campaign, and there are only 2, but this game has 3 factions.
I never play campaign. The first thing you do when you go to an RTS, you play on a skirmish and fucking go!
That is extremely unusual for a strategy game, especially one from that time. Anyway, from here we can pick out a campaign,
Campaign
and
is
there
for
are only
nerds.
2, but
There
this
are
game
some
has
good
3
campaigns in
factions.
RTS, but
so
usually
for once
I
the
don't care.
Soviet Union couldn't make them share. I went with the Allied campaign first, hoping to learn something about the setting, but the Germans have already taken London. So did Operation Sea Lion work, or wait, that's a strange act. Oh, the Allies are here, but wait.
How?
Are they retaking the city? The
No,
fighting
they came from
rages
tunnels.
on. And then a scene straight out of a Bollywood action movie.
Where the hell's that Yankee?
Yankee! Who is... What the fuck, dude? This motherfucker has the Rocketman cheat code from GTA San Andreas. What the fuck, dude? Get him. To be fucking honest, explosive shells are better against UFOs or flying objects of any sort. Fuck them.
So,
Nazi
the Allies are
bastard.
retaking London with the help of great value Bruce Campbell.
Got the boomstick, sir.
John Lynch. God
Lynch.
bless America. Sadly,
American.
what the actual turning point is remains vague. Nothing in the menus or initial missions of either campaign, nothing in the manual. The only hint I have comes from the box saying that Hitler was assassinated, which is something, but who
By
took
who?
over and who?
Hitler, dude. What now? What new? The fuck is
Killed
this
him.
language? German, fuck. Oh
Well,
shit!
that question is never answered among many others.
To be honest, if you kill Hitler and have a time machine and go kill Hitler, who knows what kind of insanity might be unleashed upon us next? Who's gonna take it? 2K? Was Hitler the main component of World War II's like genocide and like Holocaust? Because was there anyone else near him who would have taken power if he would have been killed? Because I think Hitler killed himself because he was basically in a desperate situation. There was no other way. There is no winning. And his only solution was kill yourself or go to hell, basically. So I assume that was the point where no one else could really take over and make whatever the fuck that piece of shit wanted to do. So what if we kill Hitler when he's like a baby and then none of that happened? And then some other form of insanity happens. The thing is, I don't wanna fuck with like history like that. Like what would you do if you could go back in time? Killing Hitler is a talk, but what if you could kill someone else? Someone farther back in history. Like go and kill Adam. I'm just saying. Or go back and bring few dinosaurs. Like have fun. Let's have some fun. But yeah, 3, 2, 1.
If it weren't for the box, you would not
I
know
wanna
he was
see T-Rexes
assassinated.
and shit,
It
man.
makes the beginning of
In
both
museums.
campaigns confusing and disjointed, and it does eventually establish enough that you'll understand the main crisis of the game. But how this all happened remains a mystery, which is baffling when you're doing an alternate history game. Like, it may have been stupid and insane, but even a game like Homefront knew to establish some things. But the story is just one part of the game, so let's talk about
Where is
the visuals.
Japan? Yeah, where is
For a
Japan?
2007 RTS game, Warfront looks pretty good. It wasn't the most amazing that year, but the technical side has a lot going for it. The lighting, shadow, and reflection effects already come together nicely, but there are extra layers to that because the game's maps can cycle through the time of day, along with dynamically changing weather. When things get darker, vehicles can flip
That's
on their high
actually
beams,
interesting,
and
the
buildings
weather
will activate
actually
searchlights.
changing quite
Anything
like.
else that emits light like gunfire is a lot more visible. These are cool graphical touches on their own, but there's a lot of gameplay intertwined with this. For example, night can reduce the range or line of sight of some units, and some factions can use this to their advantage. The Soviet Union can research flashlights for always available extra dark vision, whereas
Makes
German
sense.
infantry can fire up a flare, which isn't always ideal, especially if artillery is around.
Why not
Bad weather
flashlights
can slow
for
down
them?
movement and knock out radar.
Why not?
You can't launch
What
most
the
aircraft
fuck?
during it, and the
Why
ones already
doesn't
out can be
Germans
damaged
have
by
it?
storms. So beyond adding extra visual variety to the maps, it adds depth to the game too. An
I don't understand the devs that don't give flashlights to people. Like, bro, why doesn't Cyberpunk has a fucking flashlight? What the fuck is going on? Give Cyberpunk a flashlight. Like, seriously, see Project Red, you're fucking with me. Like, what the fuck? There's just so many dark corners. There is no night vision. There is no flashlight. Germans here have to have flashlight. What the fuck is that flare ass? Get
So
the fuck
beyond
that.
adding extra visual
What the
variety
fuck,
to the
dude?
maps, it adds depth
Get
to the
that
game
shit
too.
out of here.
An opportunity could pop up where you know the enemy can't use their air power, or you can
Everyone
sneak some
deserves a
guys in
flashlight.
under the radar. Or it can throw a wrench in your plan and a rescue operation gets a lot more complicated. It's a neat feature and something that even a more tactical game like Company of Heroes didn't have back then.
That's sad. Company of Heroes is
Along with all
such a
that,
good
there are
game. Though.
physics destruction effects, like vehicles absolutely exploding apart. Along with all that, there are physics destruction effects, like vehicles absolutely exploding apart. Tanks can just roll down trees and small objects. The fights can scar and rip apart
That's
the landscape,
not
but
bad.
what matters to the gameplay this round is more arbitrary. Sometimes
Okay, I would say the physics and the way bullets move, at least the way bullets hit the tanks and armor, it's something between Company of Heroes and General Zero Hour. Like, it's something between that. Because General Zero Hour didn't have that much physics at all. There was no ricochet and shit. It was just kill and destroy. Company of Heroes, if you hit the tank some way, sometimes it doesn't hit. Sometimes it just goes to your... It must ricochet, bro. The shells can ricochet to your allies even. Some weird shit. It's so good. Reminds me of Bad Company 2. Because in that game, there was actually destruction of armored vehicle. When you would use an RPG on a tank, pieces of it would fall off, not all of it. And it wouldn't just get destroyed. You could shoot again and destroy it. That's awesome. That should have been Battlefield 5's like whole thing. Make Bad Company 2 a bigger game.
it's only
But
janky
no, they
looking death
fucked it.
effects that don't matter. And then sometimes, a troop carrier crashes into one of your buildings and costs you some repair bucks.
Oh, that's
Or you end
actually
up
nice.
in a firefight where you're trying not to get your troops pancaked by an oncoming train. So this time around, it's mainly for fun and flavor.
There are more
See a
consequences
power armor
for
soldier
fucking
die the
about.
second worst death next to the animatrix. But once in a blue
What
moon,
happened?
it will die the second worst. So this time around, it's mainly for fun and flavor. See a power armor soldier die the second worst death next to the animatrix. But once in a blue moon, it will
That's
matter
ridiculous.
for something random. Here's my heroic liberation of London.
Oh my god, destroying everything.
And to this very day, they never fixed that road. As for the actual art direction, it's interesting.
That's actually
Warfront's
fucked.
environments and the entire color palette are more on the muted end.
was real
Dark,
life.
gritty, with flashes of beauty here and there, which
Nice.
is perfect for a World War II game. It's what they did with the factions themselves where things get weird. You know, Germany's your tank faction. You have Panzers, King Tiger tanks, and Mouse tanks, which to this day are the heaviest ever built, but they only built about 1.5. But in the world of Warfront, they
One
became
and
a
a half.
mainline super heavy battle tank, and they face off against Soviet IS-3s, which were also real, but they didn't actually roll out until the war was over. A lot of Warfront's alternate history
Holy
units
shit.
did exist in some form, even if they never left the drawing board, or they existed with lots of
So they're
problems.
using,
or not-
oh nice, that's actually nice. So they're using some prototypes or not not utilized vehicles.
many were built. They reached into some obscure corners
That's
at points.
awesome.
So a good chunk of the roster is trying to be authentic. Here's things that might have shown up if the war kept going that were real. And then you have the all-American Gungan shield generator, the Soviet freeze tanks and ice bombs, the Nazi jetpacks and mechs. The Russians have some kind of 5-turreted
That's awesome.
super mutant T-35
This is so
with a
cool.
rage ability, along with a necromancer vodka dealer who poisons
What?
all troops around him, but nothing can die as long as he lives. And you'll know he's around because the Red Army a rage ability, along with a necromancer vodka dealer who poisons all troops around him, but nothing can die as long as he lives.
Every fucking army needs one of these motherfuckers. What? The
Even
vodka
though he's
dealer!
around, the Red
Oh my
Army
God.
can't stop burping. So it's partially we thought this through.
So every soldier just burps, but then doesn't die. Oh my God,
history
comrade,
stuff,
what the fuck?
and then part pure silly. And they could have used real pure silly. Like, Hitler approved a 1,000-ton tank called the Rat. Others cancelled it for being too stupid, and the idea of it itself is so dumb. Some historians argue whether or not the idea was actually considered, or if it was some kind of elaborate shitpost or intelligence bait. But if you threw it in Warfront, it would fit right
I would say it looks cool as fuck though. Imagine a tank that is just bigger. It's like basically having a Titan.
in with the theme. They could
From
have
Attack
meshed
on
more
Titan,
together,
right?
but it's also clear they didn't want to.
This is our
The art
tank.
style is only a part of it, but the entire game is
Okay.
half, what if World War II were changed? And
Bro, what is the caliber of that tank? Like what, this is like 2 meters? What caliber is it? Like 1 meter caliber? 20
then
centimeter
weird
caliber.
science and
Fuck.
campy one-liners and quips. So to address the mammoth in the room, it's trying to be Command and Conquer, specifically CNC generals.
Jesus Christ.
Warfront also has hero units, and
Oh,
some
generals,
are
zero
one-to-one
hour.
ability-wise. The difference is
Oh!
just our one-to-one ability.
Oh shit, Jamal. Is that Jamal, the sniper who shoots the vehicles? Bro, that was so good.
Wise. The difference is Generals nails its tone and everyone is a caricature. Warfront's tone goes all over the place. No matter what the subject matter is, a scene being camp or serious isn't based on context, it seems to be based on a dartboard. It gives the entire game a kind of madness undercurrent to it that's hard to express
What
through the
does
video.
those do? Oh shit, you can actually put... Okay,
Oh, I
you can
almost forgot.
basically
you can
bunker
control
your
any base turret
tank.
by going into a first-person mode.
Those are
This
cool.
did run horribly at the time, which isn't really a problem now, but it
Nice.
is still very janky and awkward. But it does mean you can shoot beyond the normal range of a base defense, and it
That's
maybe
nice.
does bonus damage.
That's actually
it
nice.
definitely shoots
I
faster.
I haven't seen a game that does it like this. At least an RTS, a fully fledged RTS that is actually gives you this kind of like, what do you call it? FPS.
Janky and awkward. But it does mean you can shoot beyond the normal range of a base defense,
like a
and it maybe
rail
does bonus
shooter.
damage. It definitely shoots faster. This is just another thing Warfront does. You
Jesus.
can also enable third-person vehicle cameras. Anyways, let's move on from that to the audio.
What the fuck?
The music
This
is
so much
there.
better.
If you've heard generic World War II orchestra music in a game before, you've basically heard the soundtrack.
Yep. Oh my god. Yep. Literally every game. Oh my fucking god. This brings back so many memories. This is literally every game RTS version. And if it's like a snow, it brings some of those flutes too. If it's the desert, you have camel.
Now that's a good place. Affirmative. Don't get bossy, okay?
Building completed. Building completed.
It's fine. It's perfectly fine and fitting background music.
It is.
I didn't notice it often,
That's
but
amazing.
when I did,
This one.
Building completed.
It's so good.
it's fine. It's perfectly fine and fitting background music. I
Yep.
didn't notice it often, but when I did, it didn't last for long. On the other hand, the voice acting is your premium Swiss RTS cheese.
Fuck yes. Oh no! Alright, that's good. Maybe.
Complete.
The unit barks are good, but it's the briefings where things get bizarre.
Boys, if we lose, our sons will grow up drinking English beer.
What?
Are we gonna let that happen?
That's your concern. As a German, as a Nazi or German.
No!
Typical American. The last one to the party.
That's right, we always get to clean up your mess.
Clean up your mother!
There
Oh!
are bits of pops and crackling throughout the game's entire audio, which isn't horrible, but definitely noticeable. The good news is that the rest of the game's audio is competent and well designed. When you're building units in your base or
Panzer
researching big
IV,
tech, you
all
get
of
that
them.
good UI clicky feedback that you're hoping for. And the actual sounds of battle are great as well. You'll get random unit chatter, punchy explosions, and sharp gunshots. You can
That's
tell
a
the
good
difference
one.
between Allied and German tanks
That's a
just
good
by their motor
explosion.
sounds. The more famously awful sounds of the war, like Katyusha rocket launchers and Stuka bombers, do sound authentic. Even the sci-fi weapons, which do get out there, never sound like a stock. They audibly fit into the world just as well as anything else. The mixing can be strange at points, like sometimes the vehicle's engine sounds louder than its weapon, but overall it's a solid battle soundscape.
Oh. Okay, that has oomph to it. That has some vibration to it. I can hear my ears like vibrating a bit. Use a big bomb.
Warfront generally looks and sounds a lot better than many other RTS games at the time, but was the gameplay the secret star of the year? Well,
yo, that dude had a ragdoll. That's actually cool. This game has decent amount of
sounds
physics.
A lot better than many other RTS games at the time, but was the gameplay the secret star of the year? Well, not when it's 2007 and Supreme Commander has come out. But besides that, there's nothing too crazy about how Warfront plays. The weather and time of day effects are a nice shakeup, and the turret-based defense FPS is weird and kind of game-breaking, but really, it plays a lot like other strategy games, with the strange setting being the draw. A lot of work was put into making the factions look and play differently.
Holy shit! Bro, AA
mechanics like building power plants won't show up for the allies, since all their buildings are self-powered. With all that in mind, I'll go through everyone. The Allies represent American and British forces, along with a single Frenchman named Sanier. They are completely focused on air power, and like Command & Conquer, aircraft are launched for a while until they have to go back and reload and re-equip. Though they can stay out a lot longer than that series, and there are some exceptions to the rule, like the VTOLs. They're Sky APCs controlled like normal units, ferrying troops around the battlefield, and have some guns of their own. They truly are a marvel of engineering and sci-fi wonder, because unlike the Osprey, they don't fall out of the sky every 22 minutes. The Allies can paradrop a few kinds of infantry, and have some bombing options once they have an airfield up. These are different than building actual aircraft, because invoking a bombing run will simply spawn a plane somewhere near to the site on the map. Beyond traditional options, there's an earthquake bomb which keeps spreading out and damages buildings over time, a remote-controlled kamikaze B-17 filled with explosives. I can only guess dogfighting in the Pacific became jousting. Actually, hang on a second.
At some point, you only have one choice, and if that choice is the choice, you have to do it.
The game doesn't mention
you're in a plane and the plane is filled with explosives. Why not?
Harbor even happened. We can add that onto the list of mysteries. Regardless, the atom bomb is still in play, and the Demon Core is on tour through all of Europe. You could
Can I hear the fucking explosions, the big explosions?
Regardless, the atom bomb is still in play, and the Demon Core is on tour through all of Europe. You could still viably make a tank and artillery murder ball, but it'll be backed up by the best air support in the game. There's also the Ranger Infantry, which are scout snipers that are also an anti-everything unit. As in, they can quickly take down tanks with rifles. You still might not use them often because they're infantry. And
bro, reminds me, they're good against everything. Reminds me of the mob from, Generals. When you gave them AK-47 and they basically destroyed everything in 2 seconds.
They can quickly take down tanks with rifles. You still might not use them often because they're infantry. And one of the first things you'll notice actually playing Warfront is how freakishly fast the time to kill is, especially on infantry. You can lose an entire squad before the attacking vehicle's animation is done. A single shot from a tank can kill a few guys, an artillery salvo can wipe out more, and you would be right to say, well, at least that seems realistic, but this is a standard RTS. You can't have your troops dig in or take cover like you're playing Company of Heroes. Starting vehicles also don't cost much more than infantry, so they should be more cost-effective, but even vehicles can melt in a second. You could look away for 5 seconds and lose as many tanks.
Like, bro, when you have a tank in Company of Heroes, the first tank that gets spawned and it's like a Panzer V or some shit, it comes and destroys half the infantry and military before it's destroyed. Like, when they shoot an RPG, bling, it's not that easy. The tanks should be powerful and infantry should be able to take advantage of the environment easily.
Warfront has some of the fastest time to kill I've ever seen in an RTS. Looking at my footage, even playing as allies, you may notice I'm using lots and lots of tank murder balls. It's not me trying to cheese the game, these are the units that don't die in half a second. In other RTS games, having a counter unit means they'll be a lot more effective and even deadly.
Oh my god, a stronghold!
Some games have
Crusaders. That's awesome. Oh my god, with everything. Bro, how is he playing it on 1920 4040 0p? What the fuck? 1440? I think so. What the fuck? So much wood and nowhere to go.
In other RTS games, having a counter unit means they'll be a lot more effective and even deadly if you have a nice group of them. Some games have an easy rock, paper, scissors approach, but Warfront is actual rock, paper, scissors. As in, if you have the wrong thing, you lose. And everything still shits on infantry. The exception is the big, powerful, expensive hero units, which can last a little longer, but I've also seen them be one-shot. And then you'll see a hero mow down an entire tank division with a single Gatling gun. They might outrange the enemy, or have a survival ability or buff.
Oh, that
and this lets them
sucks.
shell out the insane damage without
Oh
dying.
my god, that's bullshit. But that's the same thing as that bald dude from USA. That bald dude in Generals.
A Mayfly. While some games have obvious hard
We just
counters,
destroy everything and go
warfronts
up the
aren't
fucking
always so
walls.
simple.
Like
This
a
is a world
Skyrim
where a
horse.
sniper rifle and a flamethrower might as well be a rocket launcher when it comes to armor. This
Jesus.
is not the kind of
What the
game where
fuck
every
is
unit has a useful
flamethrower
role
then?
to fill. Most of your early and mid-game roster becomes completely outclassed by what comes later.
That's
And it's
dumb.
not because they can't contribute to a fight at all, it's just because they can't survive more than an actual second.
They get
So you
destroyed.
end up aiming for maximum range artillery and air support, and using high-tier armor that can actually survive an engagement. Your hero units unlock abilities as they level up, including buff and debuff auras. They can increase the range, damage, or armor of surrounding
Alright.
units. And these auras work on each other, so you typically keep all of your heroes inside of the death stack. Again, they can be extremely powerful, but on their own, they're paper. On top of that, regular units can also get promotion bonuses,
How?
which includes lots of extra HP and armor
Oh,
and
like,
self-repairing.
basically
To
every
sum it up,
RTS
while
does
this
that.
naturally happens in some other games, this one is really encouraging you to make a tank doom stack. It won't hit as hard in the beginning of the campaign compared to Skirmish because they're slowly rolling out the tech tree, but you will immediately feel the effects of biblical rock, paper, scissors. And don't get me wrong, building doom stacks is fun in any strategy game. It's
Yes.
just rare to play one that feels like it's actively pushing me towards it because anything lesser explodes like Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Again, this is version 1.0 and nothing came after. What's incredible is that this all seems to be
That
working
sucks.
as intended. Playing
I
through
wish
the
the
tutorial, there was
game
a line
would
near
just
the
have
end
like
that caught my
get a
attention.
second one or the third one or like a maybe expansion like 0 hours. Because the base of the game is so fun, looks fun.
Every type of unit is especially effective against a certain kind of enemy unit, but equally weak against another. Therefore, there are no ultimate weapons in Warfront. What these units could be is a mystery,
Air
but
support.
they truly mean it. There are units a faction can only build one of, which sure feels like the super
Wait,
unit.
what the
and
fuck
can
was
only
that?
run. What these
Oh,
units
that's just
can
a
only build
camp.
one of, which sure feels like the super unit. The Germans have a giant, expensive, flying Zeppelin fortress. It can crumple near anything on the ground, but will die in seconds to a single enemy fighter or anti-aircraft unit.
Oh. It's a blimp. What the fuck is the point? Give me a second. That was such a devastating blow. Let's continue.
The intent seems to be, no matter what, you can always make a comeback with the right troops. It feels like it was hyper-balanced, but not in a way like StarCraft. It's like the entire game's balance was based around the units themselves, and no thought was put into the time or resources needed to actually make them. Don't worry if the enemy spend a lot of time
Oh, you
and
know,
money
the
building the fuck
balance-
you cannon, you can
The
counter it with
balance,
something
the balance of the units, and not all units should be able to be destroyed that easily that fast.
5% of its cost.
Especially in it
I'm
that's
not
just
even
so
that great at
big and
RTS
huge.
games, but the problem with the combat here is incredibly in your face. It makes me wonder if they added the FPS mode for turrets, because if the turret isn't matched up with the attacking unit, it does near nothing to them. The one thing I know
That
infantry
sucks.
are great at surviving are shells from an anti-tank
That
bunker.
really
It
sucks.
could
What's
be
the point of it? What's the point of an automatic defense system if you have to manually control it,
or
man?
shells from an anti-tank bunker. It could be the FPS mode was added as an oh shit button for that kind of scenario, to make you slightly more effective instead of useless. Getting back on track, the allies can have their armored columns escorted by very pretty aircraft.
Nah, but I
And
play
you've got
off
good
RTS, I
harassment
wanna play on
potential for
RTS.
anything not screened
Fuck
by
that.
AA. This is especially impressive because they don't have jet fighters like the Germans do. We might as well move on to them. The Germans are the more turtley faction of the game, and when it comes to skirmish, these are Germans and not the Nazis. I'll go over why that is when we do get to the campaign, but despite everything pointing to this being a Wolfenstein situation, it's instead a new Germany
Ow.
that has ousted the Nazis. They just still have exoskeletons and sonic weapons and jetpacks and everything else a cartoon supervillain would have. They have the lion's share of experimental and science fiction units, which is to be expected. They have some of the
Goddamn.
strongest artillery and armor units in the game, and if buffed up by
That was
heroes, can
huge
strike
for a
from extreme
second there.
range. They are slower to get rolling because their bases rely on building power plants to function. If you don't have
What the
adequate
fuck
power,
is
you're screwed
that?
because their bases
What is that tank with it? What the fuck? It looks like a combine.
rely on building power plants to function. If you don't have adequate power,
I love
your
that it's a
buildings will
castle.
sit useless until you do. They even have a dedicated XP building that will slowly promote all the units around it. Along with the regular tech upgrades, one will start your units with a free level. That means by sitting in the base a while, you can roll out armor that's promoted on top of already being strong. And didn't I just say this is Armor Blob the game? I think you can see where this is going.
What
This
the
is the
fuck
armor
was
faction
it
in the
blown
game
up?
already heavily in favor of that. They may lack paradropping and bombing options that the Allies have, but they do have guided missiles to shoot down their aircraft, along with the Super V2 facilities that sit in the base. Getting hit by V1s is bad enough, and here, the upgraded Super V2s are almost a nuke, and it's not carried by a lumbering vulnerable plane. In
Can I see
straight
the
up tar
V2?
pit brawls, this is the faction that wins. So you're either going to be outmaneuvering or outblobbing them to win, or focusing on mopping up their AA to let planes do the work. A wise rapper once
Yeah.
said, check your
That's the same thing you do in
exoskeleton,
Kane's
so
rap.
I will. I mean, it is the hero unit on the box that draws you into playing it. In-game, they are very good. They're quick, they mulch infantry and light vehicles, and they can launch rockets that'll own zone larger
Oh,
tanks.
no.
And they are insanely cost-effective once you have them.
Oh, shit.
The one thing I find
Makes sense.
strange is how stiff and awkward the model is for them.
Make the defense
They're a lot
better
more
for the
articulated in
turtle
the
strategy,
cutscenes,
at least.
which is fair. But on the field, the entire top half is like rigor mortis. This is power armor stuck in a permanent come at me bro posture, but not nearly as cool as that sounds. I guess we should be thankful because looking at old concept art, it could have been way funnier. Oh god, a mech. Where do I aim? It's not a big deal, just funny to imagine
head.
people buying this game for the big Nazi robot, and then when they encounter it in-game it's a puppeted forklift. Alright, last and kind of least, Soviet Union. Since they had no campaign, I didn't play these guys nearly as much as the other two, but they've still got some interesting aspects to them. Where the Allies and Germans need to build a
Drinky.
fairly
The
pricey
vodka
builder
did.
unit, the Soviets have a much cheaper combat engineer. He is but a man, and the Red Army has the most types of infantry in the game.
Makes sense.
Try to contain your excitement. This is the designated swarm faction. Their units are cheap and can come out quickly. Through technology, they can build vehicles even faster and have 2-for-1 infantry. To keep the army on the march, they have a few extra ways of earning income.
That's so
Usually,
fast.
there will be a mine near your base, and you build a supply depot. Trucks can be constructed from there to gather resources from the mine and drop it back off. A merry-go-round of wealth that'll continue until the mine runs dry, or another faction destroys it. From there, most maps will have passive income centers like oil wells or banks that can be captured by infantry. So once these mines
love
run
that,
dry,
I
you're
love
more
that,
pushed
I
to
love that.
contest these points in the map.
It has
Even
cover.
if these are all destroyed or inaccessible, Allies and Germans have their tech
It's,
buildings.
it's fucked up though that the tanks can like construct cover around them, but the humans can just infantry can like hide behind the fucking wall.
You're more pushed to contest
It's
these
fucked
points
up.
in the map. Even if these are all
cover.
destroyed or inaccessible, Allies and Germans have their tech buildings able to
Question
create
mark.
some passive income in the endgame. This means infantry's main usefulness is capturing a building,
$800.
since any infantry can do it, and they can capture any building. You'll notice in the early game that the AI tends to send a few guys into your base to try and capture buildings, just in case you have no defenses at all. And yes, if you capture
Use
the
fire
enemy's
against
HQ,
buildings.
you get their whole tech tree. Perfect.
Makes sense.
Now, while
What-
Soviet
what?
capture
Wait,
the
wait,
enemy's
wait.
HQ, you get their whole tech tree.
Oh, HQ and tech. So basically, can produce all.
Perfect.
Makes sense.
Now, while Soviets still use mines, they don't need a depot because their HQ is the depot. It also means that building more for a resource site is another fully operational base. Then they have the Gulag, which will add passive income based on recently defeated enemies.
Oh,
well,
shit.
holy shit.
That's fucked up.
They still have the pure passive income building with the black market, but it will near instantly pop out a group of units from the enemy factions through the Lend-Lease program, which here just means dumping a big stack of cash. They have little in the way of air power, or anti-air for that matter, but they can steamroll in the right circumstances. The thing is, while they have cool units like the freeze tank and giant moving turret, their true potential is in base breaking. For a price, every so often, they can immediately spawn partisan fighters on the map. They are only infantry, but they also have
Like
a burrowing
GLA.
NPC. It's like the Nod flame tank from Tiberian's Sun, but you can't counter it by building concrete. Now, do you recall the vodka dealer who makes all infantry around him immortal? I think you can see how this plays out, but there's another step to it. They have the ability to call in a freeze bomb, which immobilizes all buildings and makes them extremely brittle. So, you surface a battle group of blind drunk, immortal Red Army soldiers who knock out the AA to make way for the Kislev ice magic bomb, and then you can target partisan fighters in the farthest ones. No one can construct a tight base layout to stop this. Warfront buildings kind of snap to an invisible grid, which you can turn off, but then you just can't build, so you turn the grid back on. Which means there's always room, and the Vodka Necromancers can strike at any time. This is when infantry
I
are
love
strong,
that
when they
unit so
can't
much.
die and live under your
What?
real first floor.
What
There's
kind
other
of
strangeness
necromancy?
too, like every faction can choose a strategy
That's
to buff up a
perfect.
certain kind of unit, but it's free to switch to it and you can switch it in 6 seconds. Every faction can also build bridge layers to cross rivers, which is... that's pretty awesome, actually.
That's
There are
really
lots of great
fucking
little
good.
touches and upgrades each
No
faction
game has.
can get.
I never seen a game does that. You could capture bridges in generals maybe, but you couldn't construct them.
That's pretty awesome, actually. There are lots of great little
That's
touches and
very
upgrades
good.
each faction can get, which I won't go over in detail, but playing it, you do get the idea of how the factions should play, it's just the balance is scuffed to hell and back. All that said, it is still fun to play. I wouldn't dream of trying to get sweaty playing it, and the spectacle isn't as great as some other games, but it has lively animations, and the lighting and weather effects give it visual
And you
appeal,
can make
and
bridge,
the chaotic
bro.
destruction of the battles looks and sounds satisfying. There's a healthy amount of skirmish maps with a few game modes, and one that sounds
Oh, no,
incredible,
8-bits,
but
8
for human
no,
multiplayer only. Secret Orders gives each player hidden objectives, which the others can only guess at. When a player makes solid progress on their own, the objectives are revealed to everyone, and the game
Nice.
would go apeshit. It's a genuinely amazing idea.
That might be an issue.
Warfront does have other little common RTS problems too, like pathfinding occasionally glitching out, but on the gameplay end, I think this is a few patches away from being something really good. Sure, really good is still a CNC Generals clone with a World War II skin, but that would still put it above many RTS titles.
Yes!
As is, it's a Doomstack game with some quirks. Speaking of those,
Bro, General Zero Hour was probably the best RTS that was ever created. And yeah, many people probably would say, Age of Empire was, many people would say Empire Earth was, many people would say StarCraft was, many people would say it was probably maybe a Stronghold, maybe Company of Heroes. But in my honest opinion, General Zero Hour was the first RTS that actually was full in all of its like aspects. That's what it was so good that it was a base package, and you could basically play it multiplayer with all your friends without any problems. It was so good in game nets, in coffee nets, at least here. I don't know how it was in your country, but it was so big here.
it's time to go over the campaigns. I did have to redo some missions because it looks like the save system is broken on modern machines. But the story did keep me wondering where things were going, and kept raising more and more questions. Many will never be answered, so spoilers from here on out, let's start with the Allied campaign.
How good is
I'll
this?
say this for the Yanks. They design beautiful bloody flying machines.
God damn it.
Thanks. Designing it was easy. Testing it against real Nazis is a little tougher.
The Allies have returned
Usually.
after 3 years of occupation to liberate London, and the British resistance could not be happier.
Grunt here. Understood, sir. As you ordered, sir. You need recon?
The operation is
Sir.
commanded by General Wells, and all-American action man
Wells,
John Lynch
oh
just
God.
wants to
Is it the
obliterate
Prince
Nazis.
of Wales?
So when London is liberated, Lynch is unhappy that Wells won't let him chase down some remaining Nazi trucks. Instead, he's sent to defend a different Allied base, and this is what kicks off a few mysteries. For one, there's some kind of anime villain looming over the battlefield.
Oh,
Lynch is a
shit.
super commando and super genius engineer over the battlefield.
Bro, it has a cape. It probably is not like German general.
Lynch is a super commando
Those
and
usually
super
have
genius
capes.
engineer who may have invented the helicopters. He also makes Pepe Le Pew seem like some kind of
Nice.
monk.
Farmhouse up the road. Our intelligence says the farmer has 3 beautiful daughters. My mission is to confirm that.
He is a colonel, but it's still
That's
not clear
dangerous.
exactly what his deal is. The cutscenes can sometimes randomly get a marking that looks like your screen is damaged.
That might be
I'm guessing
interpreted
it's where your
as a
cursor was
wrong
before
message.
it played, but I have no idea what causes it. In the plot, while Lynch is beating down the Nazis, he gets word that one of their commanders is nearby. They're in one of the burrowing APCs, and they're not German at all.
But then, why are we?
Drop your weapon, honey.
You misogynistic piece of shit! Kill him!
So handsome.
What?
That accent. You're not German, you're Russian.
Why are you talking English at all?
And so smart.
Yeah, he could read the UI.
Your next step will be your last.
What is that? What is that? Is that dead pixels on my monitor? What the fuck is that? Do you see that? Oh shit! What the fuck? She is Russian! She's Black Widow!
I'll give you something to laugh about, honey.
Was she? We are rapidly approaching Metal Gear
Native
territory,
Americans?
but like I said before, this is an impressive amount of cutscene work.
What
for a
is
strategy
going on
game.
here?
We already know the units get pulpy,
It
so
was her
this
again.
kind of tone could be perfect for the story.
Use the grenade launcher! What the fuck? Why isn't she dead?
Say the medic for the wounded, I'm fine.
Are you?
The Germans got away, sir.
German's my ass.
Why did they cut the shot mid-line? Okay, so
Okay, it's gone. Oh, fucking thank God. I was gonna say, bro,
the
I
actual direction
can't
and
buy a
editing can
monitor.
be awkward and weird. but the dialogue is coming across kind of like an alien wrote it.
Nadia.
Who?
Nadia!
Nadia
Saints.
Kamanova.
Girlfriend
Russia's most
from
dangerous
Lost?
spy. You're bloody lucky, Lynch.
Oh,
Most men who
shit.
meet her don't live to tell about it.
I knew she was
She's a
Russian.
puppet for the Nazis now.
I knew she was Russian. This is our Jimmy Neutron. Wells then says to forget all that because he needs to rescue General Hart, a German. He's a resistance member who got sniffed out by the Nazis and was part of the truck convoy that Wells didn't let him attack. Wells got all this information from a double agent who Lynch will be partnered with.
No way. I'm not trusting my life to some half-German spy.
He's Tim Allen grunting. What's happening?
This is Anna, your new partner.
Come on, soldier!
Count me in, sir.
That was a
Oh my
quick change of
fucking
heart.
god.
Looking at you, I feel the call of duty.
I'm starting to feel it too.
You
No
Americans
Russians.
think war is a
Jesus
game.
Christ.
At first, it seems like the next mission will be one of those fun, hero unit-centric ones. Instead, you meet up with Sanye, who will be in the
That is so fucked up to say. To someone's gonna... Oh my fucking god. That's so cringe. I don't know why that line wasn't like... To be fair, this game was probably made in 2003.
background of many scenes, and then it's a mission like any other. There are secondary objectives you can accomplish for a higher score, maybe earning you a medal in the campaign menu, but it's not that tempting, and the side objectives
What does
aren't
it
that
do though? What does
exciting
it
or
give you?
engaging either. Come to think of it,
Jesus.
there weren't any horrible missions, but also not any great ones. The structure could be fine, but with how this game is set up, a lot of the missions end up feeling the same anyways. Even when they mix up environments and objectives, it feels like you're not doing too much differently. The compelling story is a great
Hit
driving
that
force
thing!
for a
The
strategy
fucking
campaign,
AA
but
launcher.
Warfronts feels more like attending a dingy circus. You might see something entertaining, or you might see a chimpanzee rip the handler's fingers off.
Lynch,
What?
meet Germany's greatest warrior, Roland Hellmann.
Cool bazooka. Hope you haven't been shooting it at Americans.
Just Russians.
Hey, me too.
See, he says that
Oh,
after
you
a mission
cunt.
where he killed Nazis to rescue that man. And then they both realize,
To be fucking
hey,
honest, that's not
someone's
a
been blowing up our
bazooka,
stuff and
that's
capturing
a
our scientists,
big grenade
and it's
launcher.
not you. And it's framed
One
like
shot.
a sitcom.
The Russians,
hello?
they're raiding both sides.
With this revelation,
Yes.
they decide the time has come to kill the new Chancellor of Germany. They never say Hitler, they only say the old Chancellor when talking about him, and the new guy is the new Chancellor, who has moved up near the front lines in Normandy to consult his generals. He's vulnerable, so the Allies try to paradrop directly on top of his house, and they all get shot down, so you have to build a base and attack from the ground, which leads to a dramatic 5-minute cutscene of the
Makes
battle to
sense.
get to the new Chancellor. I'm not sure who he is, he's definitely not Himmler, so I did start to wonder if every character is purely fictional. General Hart seems like a not Erwin Rommel, and they've mentioned no other historical character by name. It would be an unusual choice, but maybe that's what's happening. When the new Chancellor goes
Who's the
boom,
Chancellor?
it almost seems like the end of the game.
Yo.
Hellman and Hart returned home to kill every last Nazi in Germany. As for me, Allied Command decided to send
I thought
me
they were not
to
Nazis.
Italy. Hooray! A holiday at last. I thought
Uh-oh.
I'd get 3 weeks of wine,
Uh-oh, you're gonna
pasta,
get
and
slapped
hot
by the Pope,
Italian
bitch.
beauties.
careful.
Instead, I got 3 months of Nazis. Nazis.
Shit.
And more
So, behind
Nazis.
the other side.
The tone bounces like Kangaroo
Jesus
Jack.
Christ.
You don't get the effect from the video, but it was a long death scene. If this was Hitler, then sure. I'm sure some people have some opinions on Hitler. This is all for a man named the new Chancellor who we know nothing about. And then it goes right to an Italian adventure mission where the Soviet Union shows up because they want to be there when the last Nazi fortress in
Why just not make Hitler, bro? Like, that's the most... So many people would just to see and kill Hitler. That's the whole point of World War II. Bro, what the fuck? How can you take it
Holy
away
Falls.
from us?
It
We
may
want to
seem like
kill
I'm skipping
Hitler.
a lot,
What the
but
fuck
I'm
is
not
wrong with
abridging
you?
that much. It's like the plot is rushing to get to something, you just don't know what it is yet.
Just put a
And then
fucking mustache and make it Hitler, and then we can
one
have
mission
fun.
brings it all together.
Why some random person and no one knows?
History will be made in Berlin this morning with the signing of a peace treaty. The British, the Americans, the Germans, and the Soviets will all lay down their weapons.
Just like that, the Nazi government is over. It is nice that this transfer of power came with no hard feelings. I never thought I'd see a World War II with participation trophies, but here we are. We all fought good, and for the next mission, you just have to attend a Red Army party.
This is not the way to accept a comrade's invitation.
We're not comrades.
Probably
can
not,
be.
but it would have been more interesting to have some vodka before telling it to you.
Telling me what?
Nadia's message.
Oh shit.
This
what?
fucking game.
All-out war.
To kill you.
Stalin against the world. Looks like the death of the Chancellor served him better than us, killing his only rival in madness.
Makes
Just made a
sense.
hell of an opportunity for him.
This is not an
Good for
exaggeration.
you.
Stalin has declared war against the entire planet. Wait, Stalin, the actual dude. Why are we calling the Chancellor still? We won't drop a new name, but we will drop Stalin trying to fight the entire planet. We didn't miss the turning point that changed history. This is the turning point. An
What is going? Is this game made by a neo-Nazi or something? What? What is going on? Why is there no Hitler? Why is Stalin trying to take the planet? To be fair, Stalin was the same mental bullshit, but not as small mental bullshit as the Hitler was literally doing it.
Scenario that causes Germany and the Allies to team up against the Soviet Union. I was going to say that the campaign felt like playing General Patton's wet dream, but that doesn't feel entirely comprehensive. There were a lot of powers
They talked
inside
about
the
Nazi
Allies
killing
and
Nazis, so
Germany
it's
that
not
hoped for
made
something
by
like
a
this.
neo-Nazi.
But they almost all
So what
revolved
the
around
fuck
Hitler
is going
being
on?
dead since the Allies wouldn't negotiate with him anymore, which is what makes the second Chancellor situation so strange. The death of Hitler, especially by assassination, could have sparked a German civil war. Here it already happened at some point by somebody, and the Germans ended up stronger for it. And if you are going to go for a campy tone, killing Hitler surrounded by sci-fi weapons seems more appropriate.
Bro, that's the
story
whole
ends up
point
feeling
of World War II
undercooked in a
games,
way
to kill
Command and
Hitler.
Conquer games don't. It's really something realizing the box spread isn't a big Wolfenstein battle, it's Germans teamed up with America to counterattack Russians. Credit where it's due,
That's
you
actually
do not see this
nice.
kind of scenario as the main storyline for many strategy games, and the box did spell it out actually. It's that the whole
What
thing
if?
won't stick
Yeah.
with the tone. I'm not saying a story has to feel the same the whole way
Ponder
through,
the
but it
question.
feels like watching
What if?
Nazis at the center of the earth where sometimes the writer wants you to think it's plausible. Other games like this have pulled that off, at least for a while. It's just the writing here is so direct and stilted that you don't know what to feel hearing it. Lynch is not suave, and he's also not funny in a dumb
To be
Johnny
fair,
Bravo.
Wolfenstein had a decent one. Decent comparing America to Nazi systems. And I think it was what? Wolfenstein, the new one. The New Order.
I know what to feel hearing it.
I
Lynch
enjoyed
is
it.
not suave.
Not
and
that
he's
much
also
as
not
much as
funny
the
in a
first one.
dumb Johnny Bravo way. He mainly goes, "I love the babes, baby," followed by, "I hate the bad guys." The best way I can put it is imagine the movie The Mummy. The script is run through Google Translate a few times, and O'Connell is played by William Hurt.
Holy.
I want the pilot from that missing carry-all delivered to me personally. Someone is going to pay for that waste.
It just doesn't go together. There are funny parts, even if they're
He's
unintentional.
not- is
But above
he a
anything
bad
else,
actor?
it feels
What's
like
wrong
having a
with
high
that?
fever on the couch while the History Channel plays. You think you're dozing off, and then, is that the Americans and Germans driving the Soviets out of Poland? Is this happening? Am I awake? It's not fun enough if you like pulp and camp, and too much nonsense if you're interested in history.
You
There's
can
not neat
get high and
characters to
enjoy
care
it,
about.
man.
You only keep going to see just how weird the scenario is going to get. And in Poland, you learn the Soviets have been kidnapping German and Allied scientists. Also, Nadia is there again.
Why? How is she there again?
What's so funny, babe?
War.
War is funny. Oh, that dart. Ow! The slow motion. Shit. What is going on? Oh no, the glass is off.
What's the matter?
The
Never seen a
dialogue, no.
bright-eyed girl before?
Sure I
What?
have. I just never had to kill one.
My eyes!
Oh shit,
How about a
what?
blind date, baby?
Okay, I admit
Oh my god, I wanna throw up. What the fuck is with this
her
cringe
eyes
ass
streaming from the
dialogue?
flash, and him still hitting on her in the tone you'd ask for a stapler with is kind of great.
I can't shoot a babe in the back.
You can't shoot a blind person in the face even. What the fuck do you mean? You fucking piece
Not
of
even a
shit.
ruthless Russian babe.
Unless it's
Doesn't
a grenade launcher.
matter. Holy shit, this cocksucker. It's just
Don't
so
be
much.
silly, Alexei.
That was
This
so much. Oh my god, I hate that dude so fucking much now.
war would be so much boring without him.
But Lynch discovered your injury.
That handsome American has no idea where I got it. And it must stay that way.
Oh, maybe the Soviet Union has the bomb first.
Wait, is she
Nadia's
not
eyes were
blind?
damaged in the flash during the test. That would explain why Stalin feels like he can take on the planet. At least until the next mission reveals all the captured scientists were kept
What
in a
is
zombie
going
drug
on
which
here?
made them do whatever the Soviets wanted, and they invented all the cool new Soviet vehicles, and the freeze tank and freeze bomb are how Nadia got injured. But when the scientists were off the zombie shift, they invented the anti-freeze bomb device, which is the Gungan shield generator.
Kill it.
None of this matters that much because the Americans still invent the atomic
Fuck
bomb
ice.
first anyways. Before it's even deployed, it turns out the Soviet Union cannot fight the entire planet at once and are already being pushed back. By this
shit.
point, the Allies and Germans are now best friends.
A secret American super weapon. What's it like?
If I told you, I'd have to shoot you, Hellman. It's top secret.
Such a sense of duty. You
What
must
the
have
fuck?
German ancestors.
This
Don't
is
put
so fucking weird and funny at the same time. What is
your
going
money
on?
on that.
A German that is a Nazi, but at the same time they were killing Nazis back. So Nazis have their own party, but they're not German. That's
Okay, who
absolutely
made this
insane.
game? Digital reality based in Hungary. Okay, this is making more sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
What?
Who betrayed who?
Why? Why?
Wells.
That damn woman's a pro.
Oh, Nadia killed Wells.
Oh.
Okay. It's very last second to give Wells some kind of personal stake in the final mission. They frame it like you're about to fight a super weapon in Ace Combat, but the red square is filled with lots and lots of the Soviet super tanks and artillery pieces. The freeze rays are here too, and it's the only mission that sticks with me. It's still not great, but Moscow is a giant city map. It's the only big city map in Warfront.
Oh,
and with how
makes
awkward
sense.
the pathfinding can be, I think I can guess why. They may have a lot of, super units
Just
stacked
killed your
against you, but a campaign mechanic I didn't mention was core units. Basically, as the campaign goes on, you can choose a few units to bring to the next mission. They keep all their promotions, and by this mission, you're likely starting out with a well-oiled tank column. It is still a big armored brawl, but the map design was made with that in mind and accommodates that a lot better. The bonus objectives are cutting off enemy reinforcements, so you actually do want to go for it. It's still pure destructive chaos, but a map built with that in mind does
Makes
play
sense.
a lot
And to be
better.
fair,
Once you
you're
take
going
down
after
the super
fucking
weaponry,
Nadia.
the war is over.
So now it's just me and Nadia. It's payback time, baby.
Oh my god, please don't say a one-liner. Please don't say one-liner, American person. Please don't. For the love of Jesus. For the love of God. Oh my god.
Hi, baby.
Bro, why is he rocking like nice. Thank you, I just
chase
didn't
goes on
say
a
some
while. She
cringe
tries to
shit.
mind control him with some kind of Kool-Aid jammer. That's all very anticlimactic.
You look better in a jail cell than in a coffin, babe.
Well,
what? Okay.
bong. At least he's arrested now. She can do more espionage. What? Those were rocketmen. The two ends. Oh, my rocketman! Yes! This is weird. We did it!
The evil Stalin is defeated, Lynch gets GF, and there's still the German campaign. Well, Hellman does seem like a more serious character, and he does have a triple Panzerfaust. Plus, the first mission is the taking of London, which means you
Oh my
might
God.
fight the Allied roster
Shoot.
for more of the game. Or two. Two missions to fight the Allies. He's then secretly recruited into the German resistance by Hart and sent to the Eastern Front.
The resistance offers everything. A noble cause, a clear enemy.
Yeah, that's what we love. Clear enemies. Because there is never something complicated
not
about
least,
enemies. They're always the enemies, black and white.
Are you
It's
kidding?
fucking
He's an
stupid.
Aryan version of Lynch? No, we're not doing this. A good chunk of the fun in these campaigns is facing off against different factions in different scenarios. You get 2 missions against low-tier Allied units, and then you're back to fighting the Soviet Union again. And because it's all tank ball, and it reuses missions from the German perspective, it sure feels repetitive. They do try to mix up the reused levels a bit, like the Take Down the Chancellor one. You can now convince Nazis to throw down their arms and join the resistance. And you do this by wounding them. But remember the time to kill?
We are fighting for the same cause now.
And you do this by wounding them. But remember the time to kill?
We are fighting for
How is what?
Now. They turn to your side for a millisecond and then fucking explode. Down Vista Chancellor. It's so clear these remix objectives were not fully thought out.
Oh my
but there are
fucking
still
God.
plenty of cutscenes. You get an alternate, long version of the cutscene.
That's stupid. They should have made it like halfway, like 50% health, lower tanks would choose you, rather than like 10% or 5%, 1%.
You get an alternate, long version of the cutscene where the Chancellor dies. Every main beat in the game is now from their perspective, and nothing is reused here, which is really impressive. But the game itself is not the same way. You do get some new insights, like most sci-fi weaponry was invented by a holdout of Nazis somewhere, but you learn precious little about the setting because after London, it's a 3-year time skip. Why is there a military German resistance when, in this timeline, they're winning the war? It's never said if they're committing atrocities or what's happening. Only a single...
Okay, so maybe the resistance got more power and more popularity than the Nazis. So they are bigger and actually are fighting against Nazis too?
Never said if they're committing atrocities or what's happening. Only a single line that the new Chancellor is even worse. But how? Even the final mission is completely identical, and it becomes clear that there was no time or...
How is the fucking problem with time travel and killing Hitler? People say how. It's not how. It's gonna fucking happen. Bro. The World War II the environment was so volatile that if a drop of anything could have started it. And Hitler was the catalyst to some degree. So yeah, when you say how was the new Chancellor worse? That's what happens when you kill and go back in time and fuck with time.
The final mission is completely identical, and it becomes clear that there was no time or budget for a Soviet campaign. The original missions are fun enough, but it does make the alternate scenes for everything a mystery. On the gameplay end, it's clear they barely got 2 campaigns together. On the story end, once you've played one, you don't have much reason to play the other. Hellman also gets a rival introduced, also in a Metal Gear-like cutscene, but he's shooting at nothing here and doesn't actually meet Hellman until the final mission. A mech fight is always welcome, but it's not worth that many hours to see this one. It wobbles around like a drunk puppet until he blows it up.
Ready, aim.
White flag. Don't shoot.
Poland?
They play a very similar ending.
Nice. Okay.
Now Hellman gets the GF. Game over. And sure, if I wanted to play compelling alternate World War II stories, I could play a bunch of Hearts of Iron mods. But if you do that too long, you might end up wearing Hugo Boss or Violet Vixen by the end of the year, and frankly, those are both a little pricey for me. The campaign's tone is all over the place, and the missions are bog standard, but I would say this game is still alright.
It's really good. It was really good.
Support, it could have really shined in multiplayer and skirmish. As is, I can't recommend it because it's already a pain to set up, and there are tons of strategy games to play over this one.
And
it still has good merits and neat ideas inside of it, but you're mainly coming to this for the setting, which it half delivers on, and the gameplay isn't great enough to make up for that. It's still an interesting, if forgotten, strategy game, and I have plenty of others like it in the Best Buy collection. But next time will not be one of these, and I'll see you then.
I might actually get this! Oh. just destroy it completely. No health, nothing matters. To be fair, that's realistic. That's realistic. If you shoot like an artillery next to a bunch of people, they're probably dead. They're probably dead or extremely injured. Well, yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Sorry for the delays. See you all later.